Yeah, okay. In case you can't really hear, there's a live performer at this restaurant tonight where I'm staying. And I saw a poster for it on my way in saying, like, playing the 50s, 60s, and beyond. He just finished up a medley of, like, mostly 80s songs, and maybe it had, like, one song from the 50s and one from the 60s, and all the rest were, like, 80s, you know, hits. So, yeah, I'm sitting here with what's left of a blueberry cobbler. It's pretty alright, but the reason why I had to turn on the player here is because this guy kind of reminds me of this lounge lizard in Istanbul. I didn't really tell this story too much when I was writing about Istanbul, but there was a night when we went on to this belly dance dinner theater sort of show. And yeah, when they didn't have the belly dancers out there, they had this lounge lizard guy who was singing all of these, you know, greatest hits from Istanbul. And it was a pretty international audience, and me and my friend Carrie were pretty much the only two Americans in the whole audience. And at every single table, you know, they had everyone's little, the flag of their nationality on the table so that, you know, he could see who was represented from which country. And we were getting towards the end of the meal, and, you know, I started to pull out my credit card, and the waiter said, "Oh, no, we only take cash here." And I was like, oh, dear. And I was looking at my dwindling supply of cash and thinking, oh, geez, well, I have enough to cover the bill, but I'm going to leave a pretty terrible tip. And, you know, I was, like, paying my bill and pulling out money and kind of thinking, oh, geez, I hope nobody notices just how bad a tip I'm leaving. And suddenly I realized that everyone in the room is staring at me. Well, me and Carrie. And the reason is because the lounge lizard is singing right at our table to us. And I realized he's singing New York, New York. And I didn't really realize it, but, you know, he was singing to us, and we were supposed to be listening appreciatively. And he was supposed to be singing about, you know, some famous song from our home country. Because after he finished up, you know, the main chorus of New York, New York, he went on to some other tables and he was playing some other songs. And, you know, he didn't have a song for every country. I think there was like a couple from Bolivia who had to deal with like some sort of, you know, Argentinian song or, you know, something like that. And, you know, felt bad for the Japanese couple because apparently the only song he knew in Japanese was "If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands" in Japanese. And this is like a very elderly Japanese couple. And, you know, I guess what got me thinking of this is that, you know, he was definitely trying to cater to his audience and missing in the mark in a few places. Because Carrie and I looked at each other and we thought, well, you know, neither one of us had ever actually been to New York, so the song really didn't mean a whole lot, you know, but I thought, well, maybe if he started singing Sweet Home Chicago, it might have, you know, been a bit more enthusiastic. But, you know, it was an interesting experience at the least. And so I kind of started thinking about that as this guy started playing like this 80s medley for an audience that's mostly, you know, probably shown up for the 50s and 60s music sort of generation. I don't know, well, I don't know this song, so who knows, maybe while I've been talking and not paying attention, maybe he's been playing more, you know, older music. I don't know, but anyway, it's been a long day. I've walked over 13 miles and kind of freaked out when the directions ended and I was supposed to be able to find my hotel, and I was at the top of the hill on this golf course surrounded by sheep, and it didn't look like the road just sort of ended. I've really had to put a lot more faith in this idea that, you know, just because I can't see the road anymore doesn't mean that it stops. You know, this is part of my Flatlander experience. You know, I just have to have faith that the road can keep on going. You know, it's just hidden by this grand hill. So, Anyway, so that's my evening. I had some sort of mushroom suet pudding, which, you know, was a novel experience. It might have been underdone. I'm really not sure how well, like, you know, a pudding that's just like a bunch of mushrooms in this kind of doughy sort of pastry. Yeah, it was all dough. So I'm not sure if that's how the suet pudding is supposed to be, or if that was just really bad pudding. Cobbler's alright. Like a pie. But it has some blueberries in it. And it's served with this cream. Anyway, I'm probably going to go back to my room now and sleep very well. So have a good evening. Oh, by the way, I had some Suffolk cider. Also very good. Not too strong, not too, it's a little kind of like more tart than sweet, but not like overpoweringly so. So it blends well with just about anything. Anyway, I've talked for over 6 minutes. It's time to go. Good night.